We are very, very fortunate to have Dr. Peter Glidden here with us today to answer our health questions, set us straight, get us on the right path, and guide us away from the dangers and the pitfalls of modern thinking and popular thinking and crazy medicine and a lot of really strange claims that are circling around social media, which infects all of our brains. Dr. Peter Glidden, how are you today?
Best day of my life so far. Thanks for having me.
That's awesome. So I have a question about addiction.
Oh, yeah.
So how much of that, and I get it, then, people have their traumas and they try to self-medicate, or maybe they're just recreational and they're hanging around the wrong group of people. They don't get the proper guidance. But is there also an impulse control issue that could be related to types of deficiencies, to where they seek out something not knowing what it is, the same way people would seek out food?
Yeah, 100%. And this is one of the unlooked reasons why we have an obesity epidemic in this country.
Mm-hmm.
It's because the same exact thing happens in farmyard animals. There's a illness in horses and cattle and sheep, I think, called pica, where the animal starts eating whatever it can. It'll eat dirt, it'll eat rocks, it'll eat the wood on its fence. It just can't stop eating. And if it eats rocks, it ruins its teeth. And if it's a horse and the teeth go, then the horse has to go.
Wow.
And it's a simple nutrient mineral deficiency, specifically illness. You put minerals in the animal's food and the behavior goes away. That, by the way, that's how livestock ranchers make money. Because if you're raising beef cattle, and I think the average age of a steer or an animal is, before you take it to slaughter, is 5 years. So they have to keep the animal slim and healthy for 5 years, then they have to fatten it up. And so how do they do that? Well, they put minerals into the food trough. And so the animal, when it's hungry, goes to the food trough, it gets the minerals, and then it eats until it's full, and then it walks away. Even though there's more food there, it won't eat it. And the animal maintains a healthy weight, and they don't get sick. They don't get arthritis. They don't get congestive heart failure. They don't get bronchitis. They're not sick, right? And so the veterinarian bills are super low. And okay, now it's 5 years have gone by and it's time to fatten the animal up. Well, how do you do it? You simply stop putting the minerals in the food. So after a few weeks, the minerals that are in the animal's body, the body burns through the minerals, and now the animal's minerally deficient. So it goes to the food trough and it eats until the food trough is empty, and then it looks for more food to eat. And in a couple of months, I don't know how many weeks it takes, the animal doubles its body weight. Wow. And then they sell it, and that's how they make bank. And that dirty little secret or interesting little secret, has been part of the cattle industry for, 50 years more. And why does that not then translate to what humans do? Because we don't have medical freedom, and because the people that are in charge of medicine have their heads up their ass about these things. They don't believe in the benefits of medical nutrition. They have no training in medical nutrition. They have no clinical experience with medical nutrition, and they're so freaking arrogant that the thought form is, if I wasn't taught it at Harvard, it's simply not valid. And this is actually what people think. I had a patient tell me just yesterday that she was berated by her doctor for refusing a statin drug. And it's not like the research showing statins are bad and there's no relationship between heart disease and cholesterol. It's not like that research hasn't been published. It's been available for 15 years. But the doctors refuse to look at it because they turn a blind eye towards anything that doesn't agree with their particular position. And it's really a problem. So to go back to the addiction thing, the first thing to consider when anybody is craving anything is that there's a nutrient deficiency syndrome that's at play. So the first thing we need to do is nutrify the person's body completely with an emphasis on minerals. And then we look to see what happens to the cravings. And there are homeopathic things that can be done to help curtail the craving for alcohol. There are therapeutics, homeopathic therapeutics, and other therapeutics that you can do to get out of the habit of smoking cigarettes.
Oh.
But the body has to be mineralized. And when it comes to pain medication, things like oxy and fentanyl, then that's a whole nother thing. That's driven by bad medicine from the top down, because the medical doctors don't know how to treat pain, don't know how to cure pain, and their treatments for it increase the pain when the drug is removed. So the longer that the patient's under the pain medication, the more pain that the patient is in, and then the doctor can't ethically prescribe the pain medication after a certain amount, so they cut the patient free. Now the patient's in more pain than they were before, and they're addicted to pain meds. Not because they have an addictive personality, but because they're in freaking pain.
Right. And
the medical doctor didn't help them. And, nobody goes to jail when that happens, because it's $1 billion industry. And I think there's a relationship between, the oxy and big pharma. I do. I think that it's all interwoven together and, driven by Baal himself. I think that's what I think. Nothing else really makes sense to me. But nonetheless, we have strategies to get over alcohol. We have strategies to get over cigarettes. And we've helped lots and lots of people lose weight. And, we get this report all the time that somebody will come to me with arthritis, or they've got migraine headaches, or they've got asthma or whatever. And we put them on a protocol to fix that. And into the bargain, they lose weight. And they're not even trying to lose weight, but they lose weight as a side effect of the treatment. It happens all the time. And there are some, outliers with the weight issue, that the diet and the nutrition isn't enough. And I don't know what's going on there. I think there's probably some type of psychological stress that happened to those people when they were young, and they've putting on fat as a defensive mechanism to keep themselves, buffered from the evils of the world. But I don't know. That's above my pay grade.
That's an amazing thing to think that the body or the spirit is able to override kind of the physical there and still decide to apply fat rather than, function the way it would be with the type of input that it's receiving.
Yeah, well, it's a self-defensive mechanism, right? Mm-hmm. The body loves to defend itself. It will go out of the way to defend itself. There's all kinds of dissociative behaviors that happen when people are under extreme stress. That's the defensive mechanism. So the whole thing is really interesting. And the first thing to do as an intervention here, as a curative strategy, is to stop eating foods that are causing inflammation and fill your body's nutritional tank up with an emphasis on minerals. And you do those two things and you see what shakes down. And that's the first step everybody should take.
Right. I think that's the first step everybody should take, period, no matter what their situation is.
Well, we would agree. That's, because it goes to the fundamentals, right? That the body knows how to fix itself, wants to fix itself. It's trying to fix itself. But we need to do things to help it. We got to put on warm clothes when we go into cold weather. We got to protect ourselves from the elements. We got to live in houses, right? To protect ourselves from the elements. We got to eat food. We got to drink water. We got to breathe fresh air. Well, there's one more thing that we have to do. We have to take the 90 essential nutrients because the body needs them, but they're not in the food, not in concentrations sufficient to the cause. So it's just another thing that you need to do to help the body. And regretfully, people don't see it like that. They don't see it as a necessity. because for some reason people think, well, I can get everything I need from the food that I eat. And I don't know who started that idea, but it's absolutely, positively, completely wrong.
But Dr. Glidden, I go to Sprouts and get all of my food, and it's totally organic.
Yeah. This is what people think because they've been educated incorrectly. And, after a person's, I don't know, 7 years old, the way that they think about the world is the way that they think about the world. And it's very difficult to change that.
Yeah, and you brought up a lot of things here. When you're talking about the minerals, even if you're cognizantly aware of these things and you go to like the vitamin shop or GNC, or you go online and you're purchasing things, the probability that you're getting something from a source that even knows how the body absorbs things in the first place is very low, and you're spending ridiculous amounts of money on something, and then you're going to have the impression that these things really don't do anything because you're getting like 8% of the actual product to actually be utilized.
That's a really interesting point. I have a whole chapter about that in my book. Hold on. I've got a crumb in my throat.
I hope you feel better.
I ate that bagel too quick. I wrote a whole gluten-free bagel.
Oh, okay.
Toasted.
Nice.
I wrote about this in my book, and I referenced in the book the whole calcium thing. So, for example, if you take a calcium supplement off the shelf and it says 500 milligrams per capsule of calcium carbonate, all right?
That's the one, yeah.
Well, there's 250 milligrams of calcium and 250 milligrams of carbonate. So you don't have 500 milligrams of calcium, you have 250. And calcium carbonate, if you're lucky, is about 17% absorbable. So in one 500 milligram cap, there is 42 milligrams of calcium that you can actually absorb.
That's very small.
So the RDA for calcium is 1200 milligrams, and you're getting 42. So 1200 divided by 42 is 28 capsules. So you'd have to swallow like 30 capsules a day of that particular supplement to get all the calcium that you need. Now there's 30 capsules in the bottle. And the label says take, 2 a day, or maybe there's 60 capsules in the bottle. The label says take 2 a day or 3 a day. And so people do that and nothing happens. And therefore they think to themselves, well, the vitamin therapy doesn't work. And it's because they don't know what they're doing. And neither does the vitamin company that makes that shit know what they're doing, or they know what they're doing and they don't care because they're just interested in moving product.
Right. It's better for them. Higher profit margins with a bad source of the product that they're trying to push.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons why I'm such a fan of the Beyond Osteo FX by Longevity, because it's the most absorbable and concentrated calcium supplement I've ever seen.
Here, let me go ahead and
in 37 years. It's a remarkably effective product, and nothing even comes close to it. It's like the Tesla of automobiles, of nutritional supplements. It's way out in front of everything else, and it's a different animal altogether. Yeah, and there it is right there, Beyond Osteo FX liquid.
Yeah, I just finished my last bottle 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And I threw that, I switched it around to make sure I got every little bit of it out. Yeah. This also has trace minerals in it too. I think this is 70 on the bottle, which I was pleasantly surprised to learn that it also has some of your trace minerals that you need.
Yeah, and the other thing about the whole vitamin thing is that nobody is aware of is, besides me and like two other people that I know, like two other people who are medical professionals.
I think we know one of them.
We're the only ones advocating for holistic medical nutrition. Everybody else does fractionated nutrition. So they do boatloads of vitamin D, boatloads of zinc, boatloads of vitamin C. You get intravenous gram doses of vitamin C, right? And we don't do that. We give the body everything that it needs in recipes that have been formulated for maximum absorption. And when you give the body everything that it needs, you have a much more profound effect on the body. And that's why we have such remarkable testimonials. We had one woman, she had over 100.
You don't have to waste time guessing which one they're deficient in because you need all of them anyway. So
yeah, and the body sorts it out.
Yeah.
Right? Body sorts it out because the body has in wisdom, which is imbued in it by your spiritual essence. You know, we're basically containers for spirit, and the spirit is intelligent and it knows what's what. But that's why the body decomposes when somebody dies, because the spirit, which was running everything, is no longer in the body. So the body can't keep itself together. It's the same biochemistry, but the body can't keep itself together because Elvis has left the building. Right. So this is a very important point. We don't do fractionated nutrition. We do holistic medical nutrition. There's only a handful of us in the world that even know what that is.
And no matter what you're putting in your body, it's going to have a full systemic effect because you're not able to just target things like the drug administration would like to tell you. So side effects may include means, well, we can force this thing to do what we want it to do, and F everything else that it impairs or wrecks in the process of getting there. And it's like that's their method.
Yeah, and it's amazing. It's amazing to me that system of medicine is still going strong, because all they do is screw up. Not all the time, but most of the time they screw up. They've got a huge failure rate. I mean, chemotherapy is like 97% ineffective. It just doesn't work, but it's still going gangbusters, right?
Yeah.
And I don't understand it, man, because people get cancer and they don't criticize the doctors under whose care they got cancer. And then when they die from cancer, after being bankrupted by the cancer protocol, their loved ones don't criticize the doctors who recommended the cancer protocol that was 97% ineffective. I mean, if I recommended a protocol that was proven to be 90% ineffective and it cost $300,000, and I recommended it over and over and over and over and over, and it never worked, I'd go to jail. But when the medical doctors do it, they get a raise. And this is a problem. And again, I just came from outside where I was beating a dead horse. But all of this is a function of the medical monopoly, because you cannot have such extreme mediocrity unless it's propped up by a monopoly. Because in a free market, people gravitate towards what works.
That horse had pica too.
That's why he died.
Right.
He broke his teeth.
We need a John Beard Institute to replace the chemotherapy. John Beard and Henneman Institute. Just put them all together there.
We do. And before I was talking about this. I don't know why my nose is so itchy. I was talking about this just a couple days ago to somebody. Homeopathic medicine, which is different than medical nutrition, it's different than herbs, it's different than acupuncture. Homeopathy specifically is the delivery of medicines based on a curative law of nature, which is the law of similars. And it's an inviolate law. It exists whether you believe in it or not. And when you apply a medicine correctly and stimulate the law of similars, a cure takes place. And it's remarkable. Remarkable.
I've experienced it personally multiple times, thanks to you.
However, Right now, we only have access to about 700 homeopathic medicines. So that's it, which is like 0.5% of all the plant species on the planet.
Wow.
We're not even talking about the minerals that are on the planet. We're not even talking about the poisonous substances that are on the planet, because a lot of homeopathic medicines are made from poisons. That's interesting.
From the law of potentization perspective, not from the way the medical doctors would overdose you with it.
That is correct.
Right.
But that's where they came from. So, and then when we make them into a homeopathic medicine, all the poisonous stuff is removed completely and the curative stuff remains. So you can give, for instance, homeopathic strychnine, right, to a newborn baby with impunity, because all of the bad stuff has been removed. You can give hemlock. I give hemlock all the time, homeopathic hemlock. It's a really great medicine, but it's not the stuff that killed Socrates. It's homeopathically prepared hemlock, which makes it completely different and safe and gentle and easy on the body and unbelievably inexpensive.
There's a Bushmaster viper venom or something like that in one of the homeopathics, isn't there?
Yeah, it's called Lachesis mutus. It's the most deadliest snake poison on the planet, and it's a fantastic remedy. It's a fantastically curative medicine when the indications are there.
It's like finding the right key for the lock.
That's correct.
Yeah.
But here's my point, right? Where the progress of homeopathic medicine was stopped right around 1915. Before the hostile takeover of medicine, there were over 200 homeopathic hospitals in this country.
Not just doctors' offices. We're talking hospitals.
Yeah, hospitals.
Jesus Christ, they did a number on us, didn't they?
Yeah. But then it was all outlawed, right? Because it's quack medicine. And the unassuming, uneducated American public in the early 1900s bought it hook, line, and sinker. So the progress, finding new medicines, new homeopathic medicines, and how to apply them clinically, it stopped. So if that hadn't happened, by now, let's say we would have developed, 50 new homeopathic medicines a year. That's 50 times 110. So, it's like 5,500 homeopathic medicines that we would have had instead of just the 750 that we have now. So we're handcuffed. And even though we're handcuffed, we still get great results. But my point is that we're 100 years behind where we need to be in the evolution and the efficacy and the sophistication of the homeopathic armamentarium, because it stopped short because of the hostile takeover of medicine in the early 1900s that nobody is even aware happened.
The armamentarium was replaced by the Codex Alimentarius.
That's right.
I want to get this out there before Karen, I think she has to leave quicker than usual. Says last week you recommended Hypericum 1M, 2 pellets 2 times a day for my back, and pain in my right side, a lower abdomen. I haven't noticed much, so I upped it to 4 2 times a day.
Yeah, so no, it's not working, so you need to try something else. So the next thing to try there would be lycopodium, Lycopodium, Lycopod like David, IUM, lycopodium. Yeah.
And that's in the what? 30C? What are we looking at?
I would do 30C. I'd do 2 pellets 3 times a day for 5 days. If it's helping to move the needle, then keep taking it. If after 5 days there's no change, then I'm going to need more information.
Yeah.
So one thing that you could do, right, is twice a week, I have a Q&A for my subscribers. So you can log on to my Q&A and tell me the following details, right? What does the pain feel like? Is it sharp? Is it dull? Is it ripping? Is it tearing? Is it throbbing? What's it feel like? Where do you feel it anatomically? When do you feel it? What makes it feel better? What makes it feel worse? And parenthetically, was there anything going on in your life immediately before it happened? You know, like you fell off a stepladder and now you've had abdominal pain, or your dog died, or you got married and you just came back from your honeymoon and ever since you've had back pain, whatever. Could be anything, right? That's the information that we need to know in order to help facilitate a curative response. And it's tricky in a context like this. I mean, if you were to see me in a context of a private appointment, the first visit would take maybe 1 to 2 hours.
That's the other difference of, yes, exactly.
And I'd be able to collect massive amounts of data, which will then help me to be able to more accurately hit the nail on the head, which is what you need to do with homeopathy.
I'm glad you addressed that, because it's not for a lack of that particular homeopathic being, oh, it's one of the ones we could throw out. No, it's because that was the proper application for the right set of symptoms, but there might have been something else that wasn't known. Something that, this is why it's really like trying to fit the right key in the lock, because every little notch has to line up. And if you're missing something, if you're not obviously aware of, oh yeah, and I have a little pain in my ear that kind of comes and goes. It's like that could be the very thing that's like the eureka moment as to, oh, well, then you needed this one instead.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It's very much the selection of a homeopathic medicine is very much like being a detective at a crime scene. You're looking for clues.
You're Dexter.
Right? Dexter. Sherlock Holmes is better.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it's the cigarette ash underneath the living room chair that cracks the code, right? Who would even think that that would be, you know, important? Well, it is. I had a patient a couple of weeks ago. I was treating him for had a brain tumor.
Oh God, that's pretty severe.
Yeah, it was non-cancerous, but nonetheless shouldn't be there.
Right.
And I tried a couple things and it didn't work. And then he called me up and said,
"Yeah, non-cancerous is still applying pressure. You know, if it's expanding, it's still putting pressure in your head."
He said, "Oh, I forgot to tell you that there was, you know, incest in my family of origin."
Oh.
And it was like, yeah, okay, so that's important. Right. I had another guy I was treating for asthma. And like 3 months into the protocol, I had limited success with him. He told me, "Oh, I forgot to tell you, I also get migraine headaches once a month." And it was like,
dude. Yeah.
And that cracked the code.
We need the full spectrum of symptoms that you experience, not just the ones that you think are applicable to the pain or the issue that you're talking about. It's the whole thing. Like, what is your whole experience through life?
A couple of days ago, I was talking to somebody. He had back pain, or like bad, and he was telling me that the doctors told him it was from a herniated disc, and that they did an MRI, and the disc was angry and inflamed and protruding, and he wants to tell me all about the pathophysiology, and I'm like, I don't care about it. What does the pain feel like? Where do you feel it? When do you feel it? What makes it feel better? What makes it feel worse? That's what I need to know. But people are crazy for diagnostic discovery. Oh, can I have 2 MRIs, please? I'd like a CT scan and an MRI. Oh yeah, that's what I need. That you need all this diagnostic data plus this giant blood workup, and it's like, no, you don't need that. Not initially anyway. I mean, if we try a couple things and it doesn't work, well, maybe there's a tumor, and you know, we need to know that. But most of the time, all that we need to know are the subjective symptoms, or the probably 85% of the information that we need to provoke a cure is the subjective symptoms, not the pathophysiology. But everybody gets locked into the pathophysiology because that's the medical model that we've been brought up inside of for the last 120 years.
I've got a theory about that whole pathophysiology too, because it's still missing the point in ignoring spirituality or the vital force. Because I think that the chemical triggers that they try to manipulate is just your body's way of signaling to other things because it knows what it's doing. And we see it in this physical realm as a chemical because it has to make sense in our world too, right?
Right.
For it to happen. But it's not so much the chemical signal, it's the overall guidance of the vital force. So when you go to disrupt that, you're not just disrupting that particular signal, you're disrupting it as a whole.
Because
now it's all
everything's
out of
connected. Right.
Right.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you should have been a naturopath.
There's still time.
There's still time. Regretfully, there's no college that teaches it anymore.
Right. Well, that's why I have, you and Dr. Monzo. I get to absorb as much as I possibly can for an hour a week, and that's not nearly enough. But in about 150 years, I might be able to.
Well, you do what you can.
Right. So food fighting your ability to absorb nutrients. You want to go down that path a little bit, because there's certain things that you can eat that can also screw up the very minimal amount that you're absorbing from your crappy vitamins that you bought at the store.
Yeah. So, for example, there's a whole classification of nutrients called phytates.
Yeah, phytonutrients. Yeah.
No, not phytonutrients.
No. Okay,
These are phytates. 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 Phytates are not harmful. They're not bad for you, but they're in a lot of things. And phytates will absorb minerals and prevent them from being assimilated into the bloodstream, being absorbed into the blood. So if you take a mineral supplement on, during a meal or right after a meal that had phytates in it, was heavy in phytates, then you're going to not absorb very much of the mineral, because the phytates lock onto them and carry them out of the body.
Is cheese one of those things? We talked about cheese having some sort of thing in it that is not agreeable.
Let me see. Phytate-rich foods. I don't think cheese is one. Let me give you the short list.
All right. I love
Most
cheese.
beans, lentils, and peas contain significant amounts of phytic acid.
So you'd be looking at garbanzo beans on that list too, probably, or because
I don't know. Brown rice, oats, barley, wheat. Well, we don't do that anyway. Nuts, almonds, walnuts, cashews are rich in phytic acid, and sunflower seeds. So it's like that.
And for people out there who think that because they have a marker on a snapshot in time when they get blood work done that says that you're low in something, and then they want to do TRT or HRT or whatever, the food that you're taking in could also upset that. And I know there's an issue with walnuts with men that very few people know about. And I don't know if you have information on that as well, but there's things that you can eat that can actually disrupt the stuff too. And if you're not also having in enough cholesterol because you were convinced not to, if you're on a statin and then you're worried about your testosterone, well, you already solved the problem if you're on certain pharmaceuticals or on a diet that's telling you to get rid of the stuff that you need to build your hormones.
Right. So it's a whole thing that the medical doctors are blind to, and that the naturopathic doctors have been practicing for hundreds of years. So, my advice is to hire a naturopathic doctor and fire your MD as quickly as possible. And in the meantime, bring yourself up to speed with the fundamentals, all of which are outlined on my website and in my book. Everybody who's listening to this should be a subscriber to my website and get the book. The ebook version of my book is like $37. It's cheap, right?
I was laughing at Karen. I wasn't laughing at what you said. I was laughing at Karen.
There's no reason not to do that. It's like a primer in understanding all of this stuff, because you need to understand it, and it's not hard. If you're smart enough to pass a driver's license test, you're smart enough to learn this stuff, and you need to. Because if you wait until you're sick, then you're going to be sucked right into the conventional medical model. You're going to be surrounded by hundreds of people who look like they know what they're doing, but they don't know what they're doing. And they're just going to be throwing shit against the wall to see what sticks, and you're going to suffer because of it.
Yeah. And I'm going to have to buy it again, because I had it on my phone in a Read Era app, which is kind of like a Kindle, but you get to put PDFs in it. And when my phone broke, the guy at the store didn't know how to do the transfer properly without a working screen, which I know is easy. Not saying easy, but I know it's possible. So I had to start from zero, and I had all kinds of books on there. This book is vitally important, and I think the third chapter or the book 3 of that is this one, but updated, right?
Correct.
It's the thing that they took away from the world in on Amazon when they deleted it.
Yeah.
And if that's no if that's not an indicator of what they do to real information that could be helpful and make you more independent and less dependent on a system of medicine that's the only reason why it's still there is because it's the only one that they allow, then I don't know what other indicator you need. But this is a really amazing book.
The whole thing is propped up by evil. It is.
Absolutely. It's not an accident. It's not ignorant. You can say that might be true for some people involved in it, but it's not. As a whole, it's very deliberate. And I look back at what happened with Rothschild promoting pasteurization and the raw milk as indicators of this as well. And then you look at Thomas Malthus, and you see the progression of with Virchow, this whole germ theory concept, this need for an excuse to inject people with, at that time, it was like putrescence out of cow serum, and that was somehow a good thing. Yeah. And then they had to make up this idea about antibodies, which I think is all misdirection, but it's also solving the wrong problem. So if you're solving the wrong problem, how can the solution be correct?
You are 100% spot on, Daniel. And so, and you know, inquiring minds would then assume, right, that this is all done on purpose.
Right.
100% done on purpose.
And you can use code BAALBUSTERS right here, and you'll get a 25% off discount. The annual is always going to be the better value. And I also understand, coming from, if you're like in a sales job or you're dependent on sales, and you know that things go up and down on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, having the monthly membership, because it feels like it's more doable. I also understand and recognize that. So there's both options here, and you can still use the code either way. And Dr. Glidden was kind enough to make this a monthly membership as well. It was for a weekly for a while, and it was so people could get a taste of the membership and then see whether or not they wanted to, invest the time that it's going to take for them to learn everything on here. Because there's a ton of information on here. You have the new content landing page for the people that are starting on here, but you can also look at it periodically to see what else has been updated. The medical insight page, also known as medical myth busting, this is going to be a great way to help pull yourself out of the things you might not even be aware that you just inherently believe are true, that are causing less than optimal results in your life as far as your health. The 12 bad foods here is a majorly important one, as is the 90 essential nutrients. And there's videos and literature attached to all of these. The cholesterol one's huge. The calcium one is huge. I think you should understand what epigenetics are. When people tell you it's genetic, that's like telling you that you are a mistake. And that's not a very nice thing to start off with. I mean, it's true, right?
It's true. You're 100% spot on. I mean, it's 100% accurate. But this is what everybody, accepts as gospel. So here, I have some advice for the listening audience. So the next time a medical professional tells you that your condition is genetic, you want to ask them 2 questions. Number 1, well, why haven't I been bothered by it since birth then, if it's genetic, number 1. And number 2, which gene on which chromosome is it, please? I'd like to know.
That's like hitting them with a stun gun, or like in Star Trek when the person just freezes.
I know. Yeah. I want a phaser. I need a phaser.
So, there was another thing that I just popped up in my head when I was thinking about this, and I may have lost it. Yeah, I did. It happened. So hopefully I can come back around to it. But there was another thing that I wanted to discuss. Oh, okay. So let's just go this route then. Wolff's Law and looks maxing, and these people that are bashing themselves in the faces, thinking that it's going to thicken their bones. What? This is what they're saying. Microfractures, the bone will grow back stronger, and your cheekbones. That this is the way to do it. And they bang themselves in the cheeks. This is a real thing. They call it bone smashing. It's an online craze. Lots of these people who are trying to turn themselves into Ken dolls, they're doing fillers and they're doing the mastic to make their jaw muscles stronger, and they're trying to reshape their faces. But they're under the impression that if they whack them, to me, this is like a mental condition. It's like, what they call it, full blown pandas when you have autism, when you're just like that's what they're doing, and they're thinking that it's going to have a positive way of thickening their bone structure. Well, if you don't have the nutrients, that's not going to happen anyway. If you don't have the calcium and the magnesium and everything else that you need, it's not going to happen anyway.
I mean, it's time that we started leaving the dead to bury the dead, because stupid shit like that is just, it's not even worthwhile talking about. But I will say this. Excuse me.
I want to play back what we were just talking about, because there was a really good segue there, or a point there.
So I have to take a drink of something here. I'm going to die. Here, hold on.
You're in the middle of discussing something about the, or are we good?
Yeah, no, I want to say something about the bone smashing.
Okay.
So there's a naturopathic technique called bilateral nasal specifics. And a bilateral nasal specific is you get this little eeny weeny teeny balloon. Ever seen a finger cot? It's like a little rubber thing that goes on the tip of your finger.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, it's like a mini condom, right? So you tie that onto the end of you take the end of the blood pressure cuff, the blood pressure machine off. You keep the part that pumps it up, and you keep the hose. And on the end of the hose, you tie the finger cot onto the end of the hose. And then you grease the finger cot up with Vaseline or something, and you insert it into the nasal. You have 3 nasal passages in each nostril, right? So you insert it into a nasal passage and you pump it up. And then you go to the next one and you pump it up, and then you go to the next one and you pump it up, and you do it to each side 3 times. And that gives you like a chiropractic adjustment to the bones of your face from the inside out.
Wow.
And it is an extremely effective treatment for all kinds of conditions, because there's this structure that goes through the whole body. It's called the fascia. And it's like a very thin web of connective tissue that goes throughout the entire body. And in the head, it's adjacent to the brain and the central nervous system. So when you adjust the bones in the face, you have a positive impact on the fascia and the central nervous system. And it has a cumulative effect on the entire body. And if you've ever ever broken your nose, or you've had a concussion, or you had somebody punch you in the face,
all those things,
then you need to have bilateral nasal specific treatments done, because it will help your body to get over the negatives that trauma to the face has imparted. And so if you're pounding yourself in the face to actually microfracture the bones in your face, then you're going to have a net negative impact on the fascia. That's going to have a net negative impact on the neurology of your body. A colleague of mine who's a big advocate of this, he just wrote a book about it, by the way. I've got it here somewhere.
Is that Andre Sane?
It's Andre Sane, yeah.
Yeah.
Is
It's a 2-volume one. That's the one you're referring to?
No, that's a different book.
Oh, he's got another one out? Maybe it's one I can afford.
Yeah.
You're laughing, mine.
Yeah. So it explains the whole, everything that I just said in depth. I'll send you a link to it. But he had one patient that had acromegaly,
Yes.
which was the guy's hands were like 3 times bigger than they should be, and his feet were like huge, right?
So it basically settled in just the appendages that rather than like the skull and all that too.
Yeah, the skull was also affected, but to a lesser degree. And after a year, I think, of bilateral nasal specifics, it all went back to normal.
It actually reduced itself. Like it wasn't. Wow.
Yeah.
I thought that was bone that was being thickened as well as everything else.
Well, the body's dynamic, and the body will fix it if the body can, if it's given the proper stimulus. If you remove the splinter from the wound heals, right? So it's a remarkable treatment. The only reason that I'm talking about it is because it's a bad idea to punch yourself in the face over and over, not just because it's stupid, but because you're going to have net negative effects on your whole central nervous system from doing that. It's not just a local trauma.
You think Rocky Dennis could have had been helped a little bit with that?
That's one of the reasons why, Muhammad Ali went down neurologically, and it wasn't because of brain trauma. I don't think it was because of the fascia.
That is really interesting.
That's what I think. But the medical doctors are blind to it. They don't understand any of this. It's completely outside of their frame of reference. It's like the stuff that they didn't know. That's how far outside of their reference range it is. So they can't. So all of their conclusions will be wrong because they don't know about this. And if you don't know about this, then you're going to be wrong.
And here's the whole point here, like too, that you're making without trying to make it is, do you really want to go to people that have that much missing data and have them give you what they know? It's going to be misinformed regardless if they're trying to or not.
I had one patient where I was just talking to her last night. She was on a group call that I did. She wrote a book. What's the name of it? I'll find it. But anyway, she had, I think, 25 different diagnoses. She was on 35 different medications. And a lot of her pathology focused around the heart. She had an enlarged heart. She had atrial fibrillation. She had reduced ejection fraction. She had all this heart pathology, right? And plus a lot of other things, lupus, I think, and a bunch of other things. And it all disappeared in 2 years after she followed my protocols. And she wrote a book about her recovery.
Wow.
Which is remarkable. And see, there was a funny addendum to the story that, her heart had completely resumed its normal shape. It was no longer enlarged. Heart was beating normally and she was good. But before she did my stuff, she'd had open heart surgery. And part of open heart surgery is, they put staples, inside you and to keep the stuff that they cut open together. And she'd had that a number of years ago. And, her heart was enlarged and it was a problem. And she had a quadruple bypass. And that's why they opened her up like that. But she fixed all of that. She fixed all of it in a couple of years with my stuff. Complete 100% total cure of everything, right? And then one night she woke up and she had super pain in her heart area. So she thought she was having another heart attack. So she went to, the cardiologist and they did all these tests and her heart was fine.
She was injecting the staples.
She was injecting the staples.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. How does that get back through your body? Like, where do you put that? You got to open yourself back up to get them out, or what?
You got a surgery and open them up, and I said, well, they're going to do that for free, right? She said, no, it's an elective surgery. So if I want to have that done, I have to pay for it.
It's an elective surgery out of pocket to get things that they put in your body back out. Oh, sorry, your insurance doesn't cover that. Jesus, Jones.
And I'm the quack.
All right.
It's unbelievable what happens inside of conventional medicine. And we were talking to somebody else a couple days ago. They had, I can't remember what the problem was. I can't remember what the problem was. Maybe it'll come to me in a second. But anyway, it was a $175,000 bill at the hospital, and their Medicare wasn't going to pay for it. 175 grand. I think they were in the hospital for like 3 days.
What the?
Yeah. So, this is the gift that keeps on giving, folks. Fire your medical doctor immediately and seek out alternatives. The only time you should ever go to the office of a medical doctor is if you're bleeding to death, or if you've had a big trauma to your body and you actually do, in point of fact, need surgery. Like you're in Kandahar and you get your leg blown off. Okay, go to the medical doctors because they'll save your life. But notwithstanding those scenarios, or complications of childbirth, right? Like the baby's breech and it's got the cord around its neck and it's going to die, and then you're going to die unless we do a C-section. Okay, let's do the C-section. That's what they're good at. But for everything else, you need to stop going to them immediately and seek out alternatives, which are science-based and clinically verified, and they exist.
Yes, they do. And as a matter of fact, we happen to know a guy, don't we, Dr. Glidden?
Yeah, maybe. I've heard about that guy.
Yeah. So if you just click this right here, hey, look, you found him. You know a guy. It's Dr. Glidden's website. That's the link. And as we have shown before, I mean, if you're gonna hop onto to this website, which you should, 100%, think about it this way: proper, safer information that will produce results. And just think of the amount of pain, suffering, and money and time you're going to be saving by not being completely reliant on the people who have the wrong idea about health. Not so much that it's not effective, but to the point that it's dangerous and extremely expensive. Get the book. Get on the membership.
If you scroll down on that page, just one more block.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, keep going to the subscription stuff. Keep going.
Yep.
Keep going, and right there. Let's go back a little bit. Right there. No. Right there is the stop.
Yep.
So that's my favorite quote of ever, by my cousin, by the way, Benjamin Franklin. Of the only thing more expensive than education is ignorance. And it's true. Because the medical doctors will bleed you dry. And if you think this subscription is expensive, you don't know what you're talking about. It's not. Right. And it's going to save you tens of thousands, if not more, of dollars in medical expenditures moving forward. So get on board, folks. Let's go. If you're waiting for Trump to fix this or Bobby Kennedy to fix it, it's not going to happen. Because what we need is medical freedom. We don't need more red dye number 5 removed from school lunches. I mean, that's one step, but we need medical freedom. That's the only thing that's going to fix this. And I don't think it's ever going to happen because Big Pharma controls the world and they don't want medical freedom because it's not in their best interests.
And it seems like the most common sense, obvious thing would be that you need nutrients. Like, why is that such a hard thing for people to comprehend, especially the doctors themselves, who will ignore that and tell you, well, these things that we just manufactured in a laboratory is what you need because that's what nature provided. No, it didn't. And if we didn't have such a horrible situation going on with all the chemicals that throw on your food, the overproduction in the same soil without adding nutrients back to it, nature and God, or whatever you want to call it, didn't make life hard and impossible to find these nutrients. It's because we're in an unnatural condition that we find ourselves in, where people are pinching pennies to have higher profit margins, and they don't care about your health, and they might even be doing some of these things deliberately, probably, to where the nutrients aren't there anymore. Weaker body, weaker mind, more docile population. That's something that's being implemented on us. It's an unnatural process, but if that's why people think it's like hard to believe that we would need all these things, in nature, it wouldn't have been difficult to acquire them.
And by the way, there's a really interesting historical anecdote about that. And one of the reasons that people are sicker now in the 20th century than they were in the 19th. Much more chronic disease now than there ever was, right? Much more cancer now than there ever was. Everybody is freaking sick all the time now, right? You know, there were things back in the day like, you know, the plague and scarlet fever and things like that, but the homeopaths knew how to take care of that. But my point is that a very interesting thing happened, and it happened on my colleague Wallach talked about this all the time. It happened in Pearl Street in New York. He had the date and the time.
Pearl Street in Troy, New York?
No, in New York City, right across from where they were building the Brooklyn Bridge.
All right.
This was in the early 1900s. The not the invention of, but the introduction of electricity to cities. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, we've got electricity. It was a wonderful thing, right? However, before electricity, everybody heated and cooked with wood.
Oh.
And what did they do with the wood ash? They collected it. They put it in their gardens and they put it in their food. They put it in their soups and stews and their breads, right? Fee, fi, fo, fum.
Yeah. I was just thinking this. But...
I'll grind his bones to make my bread, right? They put wood ash in their food and in their gardens. And what's the big deal with that? Well, wood ash is like 99.999% minerals. Because remember, the plant or the tree or whatever it is you're burning sucks minerals out of the soil, refines them into bioavailable minerals, and then you burn the plant and you can't degrade the minerals. The only way you can do that is in a blast furnace. So the wood ash is mostly the minerals that the plant had sucked up.
That's awesome.
So now you put it in your garden and the plants have more minerals than they would have before. You put it in their food and your body has more minerals than it did before. And all of that stopped after the introduction of electricity.
And that's an amazing thing too, Dr. Glidden, because that's the other good point there. The microbes in the soil, the symbiotic relationship with that and the plants absorbing it and making it bioavailable to the people. Well, if you're burning the wood, that's a great source for all that stuff that in a form that you can actually use. And it's 1204 too. I don't know if you got it.
No, I'm good. There's what's that guy's name? Weston Price. You know the Weston Price Foundation?
Yeah, that's the guy who did the Contagion Myth book. Cowan. He goes and speaks there sometimes. Tom.
Yeah, so Weston Price's whole thing was that, you know, he studied tribes in the rainforest, right, or somewhere, like indigenous people. And he tracked their health when they were in the jungle and then when they went and lived in modern society. And when they went to modern society, their health went to hell in a handbasket. In the jungle, they were perfectly healthy. And Weston Price incorrectly assumed that it was because of all the shit that they were eating and when they were in the city. And that was partially true. But it was also true because when they were in the forest, they collected the wood ash. And they put the wood ash in their gardens and they put it in their soups and they put it in their stews. And he completely overlooked that.
Yeah, you could overcome a lot of the crap in the other food that you're receiving if you at least have your minerals to keep you strong, right?
So when you're mineralized, your body's healthy. And, you know, it's not just going to happen. You have to do it. It's like you can't just walk out into freezing cold weather in your bathing suit or your underwear. You're going to die. You have to bundle up. You have to do things to combat the stress. Well, it's the same thing here. You have to mineralize your body to combat the stress of life. But your medical doctor doesn't know this. Nobody that you ever talk to in your life knows this. Nobody has any freaking idea about it, and it's killing you. Literally. Slowly. So take my advice, please. Mineralize your body. Get the supplements, get the book, become a subscriber to the website. Figure this out because it's not hard. And also, you know, I mean, the only reason that my profession continues to exist in such a hostile political climate, medical climate, right? If I was to practice naturopathic medicine in Tennessee, I'd be thrown in jail. It's a felony.
That's insane.
It's only licensable in 24 states. So what does that mean? The laws of nature change when you cross a state line? No. It's all about turf war. It's got nothing to do with public safety. It's got nothing to do with efficacy of treatment. It's got nothing to do with educational standards. Nothing. It's all about turf and control.
If you think about where they centered or targeted the hardest too, we're talking about Appalachian people, right? We're talking about, we got Kentucky, we got Tennessee, we got Virginia, we got all the Appalachians. Those were the Scots and the Irish, the ones that they depended on the most during the Revolution because they were the toughest fighters. They didn't take shit from anybody. They were independent minded, and they had already been through enough hells before they came to this country to harden them, and to resolve. And once it became a not so nice, kind of a predatory leadership in this country, that's where they targeted the people that they knew were going to be the toughest obstacle to overcome. So make them sick first, make them. It's hilarious, though. I mean, it's hilarious in a not so funny way, but
yeah, it's ironic and it's telling and it's sad and it's tragic all at the same time. It's like one giant Greek tragedy, writ on the world scale. So you can do it, folks. Educate yourself. It's not that hard. Get the supplements.
How does one even navigate the grocery store? It's like a house of horrors, and nobody recognizes it for that.
I know. The whole thing is nuts. And then when you add to that, so we've got 12 foods that nobody should even look at, let alone eat. But in addition to those foods, there are other foods that different individuals are intolerant of. So, like I have a really hard time with dairy products made from cow's milk.
I'm surprised about that.
Yeah.
That goes to show that it has nothing to do with genetics.
I have a couple of patients, they can't even look at a potato. Right? There's some people
potatoes. It's like a brick in my stomach.
Some people, it's different for everybody. So in addition to the 12 bad foods, there are other foods that that your particular body doesn't like, and it's individualized for you. And you should figure out what those are and stop eating them. Because if you don't, it's like death by 1,000 cuts, and it's only a matter of time until something breaks. And then you go to a medical doctor who has no idea about any of this, and they'll tell you it's genetic. And then you cower in intellectual inferiority because you're surrounded by all this millions of dollars of high-tech equipment and all these lab rats running around with the white coats and the stethoscopes. And everybody looks like they know what they're talking about, but they don't.
Yeah, they said you're a mistake. You shouldn't have. You're lucky to be alive this long when they tell you it's genetic. You're poor breeding in your bloodline. Shouldn't even exist. That's what they say. When you brought up that thing about the allergies before with the kids and they were acting out.
Yeah.
And when I'm thinking about vaccines and stuff like that, they sometimes use peanut and other types of weird stuff in there. And then the allergies are usually because people have a super sensitivity from it being injected into their muscle or bloodstream.
Right.
And that's why they have these allergies. So who knows what the heck, if that correlates or not.
The whole thing is inside out, upside down, and backwards. And it is at its core satanic.
Absolutely, 100%.
And that's why you should fire your medical doctor, because the stuff that they're trained in is bad, and you need to get out from it as soon as you can.
So I've got one more thing. If you got a second.
Yeah, I got a second.
All right. So there's this guy here.
I got 4 minutes. Go.
By the name of Paul Carrison.
Oh my God.
Yeah. He was called the Papa Smurf. Do you want to know how he got that way, Dr. Glidden?
Colloidal silver?
Exactly. Because he made it himself with electrodes, because I think people have a misunderstanding between the mineral form of things like mineral copper and things of that nature, and the metallic form. So he was hooking up electrodes and making his own, and it was cloudy water, and he would also apply it to his face, apparently. That is not the same as this stuff, is it? That's
No,
not
no,
the
it's completely different. It's like, the difference between Annie Boonspring's green apple wine and a 1975 Chateau Neuf du Pape. It's a completely different thing, even though they're both made from grapes. So that particular condition is called argyria.
Yes.
And it only happens if you take a shitload of poorly made colloidal silver into your body. If you take scientifically made colloidal silver into your body, that does not happen. So it's the way that the stuff is made that makes it problematic. And the good companies, all the stuff that's sold now doesn't create argyria. You don't need to worry about it.
Right. There's also that Mother God cult where she turned blue as well.
Oh, Krishna, why so blue?
Yeah. And she was she was a little on the, I mean, I'm not saying that sometimes these things work themselves out with nature. They just kind of she stopped being an issue eventually, but yeah, she turned blue as well, right in the face. It seems like it collects here. The hands don't look bad, but like from the shoulders, a little bit into the arms, it's like there's like specific spots where it gets blue. It's very strange. But that guy was a very blue-headed man.
Daniel, it's always a pleasure. Best of luck. I'll see you in a week, God willing, and the creek don't rise. All right.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it.
All right. Adios.
And we are here. Okay, cool. So you see this little thing scrolling at the bottom. You can find this on well, if you're on Kick, you're not going to find it in the description, but come over to Rumble and follow there as well. And I'll show you what I mean. Let's go to the share screen here. Bam, bam, bam. If I narrate what I'm doing, then you can understand why I take so many. With StreamYard, it's too many steps to do stuff. They don't have any quick keys that I'm aware of. Someone Coma said, thanks, Dan and Dr. Glidden. I'll pop that up in a second and share people's stuff. And so right where it says join Dr. Glidden's membership site here, leave Big Pharma behind. You can use code BALLBUSTERS for 25% off. I also just had asked Dr. Glidden, and he did it for me, to have a FITWIT code for 25% off too. You still use the same link, but we're building a new channel. And I don't know if I even have it up here yet. If I have it, I'll let you know. Let me pull this up. FITWIT, there it is. So if you guys want to go over to the YouTube channel and give it a follow, we've got 22 subscribers already, which is, YouTube's not what it used to be, so they suppress a lot of things. But I have the past two Dr. Glidden live Q&As here, and I hid him under this so that it wouldn't be as obvious because they don't like his content on YouTube. And then this one was a reaction video from Greg Doucette and some of the looks maxing things. More is going to be applied here. There's going to be a lot of reactions, a lot of applying the information that's missing from these health coaches that are charging you. I'm going to give it to you for nada because we just need to be healthier people. We don't need to be putting everything behind, you know what I mean? Especially when it comes to personal trainer advice, which I don't think is, I think that's another racket, to be honest with you. Even though I'm a certified personal trainer, I had to go through the process to see it myself. And the things, because the way that they teach you, it's not good. It's not good. I don't buy it because I know Dr. Glidden and Dr. Monzo's information. So a lot of things that they say are not accurate. And that's just the way it is. But FitWit over here, YouTube, Wisdom Fitness AZ. I'm going to go ahead and put that in the descriptions. Go ahead and follow over there because you're going to find more information. Dr. Glidden is going to have his, like I said, we have FitWit as a coupon code as well as BALLBUSTERS for 25% off. Both of those work. So if you rather write FITWIT, go for it. If you want to write BALBUSTERS, go for it. You're going to get your 25% off discount either way, but you want this link. You need to click that one, and then it brings you there. Now, just beneath that, it looks like I missed the Eiffel Health information on this particular write-up. So let me go ahead and share that with you. If you type on EIFFELHEALTH.com, You can find it from Dr. Glidden's website too, especially if you're in the medical myth busting section. But right here, it tells you to use this when you're placing an order. Use extension 101 to get to Brenda. But it's on the screen, 888-618-1796. Watch this little video here. And then the supplements that you're looking for is a Healthy Foundation Pack right there. And plant-derived minerals is exactly what it sounds like. They're plant-derived minerals. The bulk of what you need. And then the Beyond Osteo Effects has the magnesium, calcium, and another 70 of the trace minerals. All right. Now let's say, okay, well, let's tackle this in a different manner. You can use code BB5 right here at this site, Azure Standard. And it looks like in this write-up, I also didn't have my website. This is why when you copy and paste from an old one, for the sake of time, you carry over all the errors from the past one too. So I didn't have it on this one. But semperfryllc.com is my website, semperfryllc.com. And currently, if you use, I'll get into that later. You could just go over there if you want to. But code BB5, you click Azure Standard, and just beneath it, it tells you how to get your 90 essential nutrients. This is going to be a little bit more economically viable. And it's going to be a whole food version of your whole food multivitamins. There's trace minerals in the multivitamin and the Fulvic-Humic energy blend powder. It's a 3-month supply, 3 months and 10 days, so 100 days. And that's if you're taking the 1/8 teaspoon, which is the high dose amount. Like you want to build yourself up to that. But if you're doing what I do, you're on the elliptical for 4 miles a day, or you're out in the sun and the heat, and you're doing a physical labor of something like that. And also, right, if you're eating the wrong food, it might be stripping out, or you're taking. The other thing is too is prescriptions. If you're on prescription medicine, it'll burn through your minerals faster too. So you want to take more than the 1/8 of a teaspoon a day. If you want to do it night and morning, that's on you to decide what's best for you, given the other details and circumstances. And if you're having cravings or addiction type issues like we were referring to, you're probably very depleted in your minerals. It might not be such a bad idea to gradually build yourself up to the 1/8 and then maybe even beyond, so that you're getting what you need after a long period of time without it. And you gotta allow your body to heal before you're judging up or down what is happening to you. I would say 120 days is the minimum, 4 months, to actually be doing things all the right way and consistently, without missing days, without missing weeks, and seeing how you feel afterward. He says 90 days, but if you're applying, the other problems, as you're not going to be compliant to your own regimen, usually the first few weeks or more, especially if there's I want to still eat the bad foods issue, or you're coming down from some other type of addiction which might have accumulated a bunch of toxins in you. So I'm saying it's probably gonna take a little bit longer than 90 days. But I'm not a doctor. And Karen says I do play one on TV though. I'm not an actor, but I play one on TV. Now that's a funny one. So the Azure Whole Food Essential Nutrients are: 1, the Whole Food Multivitamin, the Alaskan Cod Liver Oil, the Fulvic-Humic Energy Blend, and the IP6 Supreme with inositol. And I also add the core copper to that. And there's also a collagen there that I just noticed not too long ago, so I'm going to grab that too. Let's see what you can see. Oh yeah, it was there. I'm not sure why it's not popping up on my screen. All right, so the Whole Food Multivitamin, that's number 1. And now you're going to use code BB5, and this is already a website that's 10% cheaper than the Azure's regular site where they sell these vitamins and supplements. So it's already 10% less than that site for whatever reason, and you're going to get an additional discount with the BB5 code. So it's going to bring you like 15% discount. All right, so there's that one. The next thing I'll click on is the Alaskan Cod Liver Oil. If you have children, take a look at this closely, because this is I don't know why it's saying 240 milligrams unless they're telling you to take 2 soft gels. It should be 1200. I guess they're carrying over the mistake that they had there before. Oh, serving size 2 soft gels. So that's why they're saying it that way. And that's a 30-day supply there. And you can see what's in there. That's the unflavored one, which I would prefer. I don't think I need flavored fish oil. That's the Alaskan cod liver oil. Moving down, we'll look at this in a minute. Adrenal food, that's also something to consider in the future. Then go ahead and hit load more, and you should find the Fulvic-Humic energy blend. Now, this is the minerals and antioxidants. This is the short list of what it's doing, but what it's doing is it's supporting your body's natural ability to know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. Give it what it needs. It takes care of the rest. It doesn't have what it needs. It doesn't perform in a way that it's noticeable to you that it's not. And then you go to a doctor and they drug you. They poison you. Or they tell you not to eat certain foods that are actually necessary, like such as cholesterol, or salt or something like that. Get the Fulvic-Humic energy blend. It's a 100-day supply at the 1/8 teaspoon. Some people start off lower, so it lasts longer. Mineral source from rich soil in Canada, not rocks. Supports healthy digestion and overall well-being. And then you can read more about it there. And then you scroll down, and the IP6 Supreme with the inositol would be the final component of the 90 essential nutrients via Azure standard. And Dr. Monzo helped develop these. It's a great source of calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus in absorbable forms. Remember, that's the key part here. Right now, it's 10% off here, which means it would be 20% off the normal prices at the Azure Living website. And then you're going to get another 5% off. And you also earn money credits towards your next purchase through Azure. So when I place an order, I have a balance later on of credit that I can put towards another order. And even if I'm using codes, I still earn an amount that I can either apply to the next order or I can just let it accumulate and then apply it some other time. But every time I order, I have a little, blue thing, like it's written in blue lettering that asks me if I want to apply it, and it's usually a few bucks, so that's another discount there. And you can read about that as well. Now, if you scroll back up, racing mind relief with magnesium. The core copper and the beef liver. These are both copper sources. The core copper here, we have bought them out of both of these through our viewership here in the past. This newer batch here is a direct result of us. They were out for quite a while after we did that, so everybody loves it. I have it. I'm getting more. As you can tell, it's not a rattle anymore. So the core copper is right there. And these are optional add-ons, but I don't think you would want to skip the core copper, given that what we were talking about with aneurysms. That's the question I want to ask Dr. Glidden. Is it genetic? Because it's not. It's a lack of copper and collagen and other issues that make for your body having these soft spots, as they quote unquote call them, in your arteries, your vessels, and then what they say, the soft part of balloon, where the balloon's bubbling out when you blow it up. Expand and contract, and then all of a sudden it bursts, and then there's your aneurysm here, aneurysm there, everywhere. Collagen and copper are essential, and copper can be stripped out of your body pretty easily by even just sugar or heavy doses of pharmaceutical grade, which is synthetic vitamin C. They tell you to take a bunch of vitamin C, tell you to take it intravenously, they tell you to take it, shit tons of it when you're sick. If it's the type that they make with cornstarch and hydrochloric acid rather than being sourced from a plant, like a fruit, then it's going to strip copper from your body as it comes out, because it has an affinity to copper, because the natural form of it is has a copper bond to it. So without that, it's crabby. It's a little Mr. Crab Claws trying to grab all your copper out. So sugars, again, yeah, not so good. And poor forms of vitamin C, yeah, not so good on your copper. But the collagen also, this is how you get your elastin to be strong. It binds to these things so that it can be stretchy. It also for your stomach lining, so you don't get hernias, and the tightness of your skin, your wrinkly faces. The collagen plus the copper will be supportive of that too. Maybe I'll get rid of my smile lines eventually. Well, maybe I'll just keep smiling. All right, then. That's those. And there's more stuff on there. You can use the code BB5 for everything on here, including things that are off mark of the just whatever they provide here. You can use the BB5 code to get your things. All right. Trying to think, is there anything else I want to talk about? I told you about the FITWIT. There is just started this thing. It's Wisdom Fitness AZ on Twitter. So I ordered some shirts without my self on it. It's just it's an augmented version of this. We'll see how they come out. I got a tank top and a shirt coming, and I'm really gonna go full bore on this. I have a passion for helping people out with health and learning as I go, and the adventure and the excitement of learning things that you know are true simply because you got that. You can find corroborating evidence for it, and then you ask yourself, why don't other people know this? Well, it's because they don't want to, because it's not something that's regurgitated and repeated on TV, and it's not out there. He was a dentist, by the way, Dr. Weston A. Price, 1870 to 1948, and in 1939. So toward the end of his life, he only had 9 years left to go. He wrote Nutrition and Physical Degeneration. And again, that idea of the ash is super, super interesting. Because what he says, core dietary principles, animal fats, which I agree with, whole foods, I agree with. But you know that when you find things that are organic or certified organic, it's untrustworthy because it's not trustworthy. Plus, everything is contaminated with glyphosate pretty much downstream, and it doesn't just sit in one place. And they're spraying the hell out of forests now with this thing. That's what I wanted to ask him. Is the fascia, would you consider the fascia, the thing that he was talking about, or fascia, whatever, that was in the networking of the body, if you would equate that to the mycelium in a forest that provides the nutrients and what you could call the information network, the brain of the forest, because that's what they're killing with these sprayings after they do all the logging. That's what they're killing in these forests. The largest organism, and I'll show you now so you don't think I'm lying. Largest living organism until they kill it, because they're going after Washington forestry through the BLM and the let's clear things for data centers bullshit. Largest there we go. Oh, those go with the living thing. The largest living organism is by mass in Pando, a clonal colony of 47,000 genetically identical quaking aspen trees. Okay, what's the other one? What is connecting them to make them all the trees being as, what the hell is that? Is that a joke with the mushroom? Largest living organism. The largest organism on Earth is a vast underground network of mycelium belonging to the honey fungus. Okay, so that's what they're talking about here. So, located in Oregon's Mahler National Forest, this single living entity spans an astonishing 2,385 acres, nearly 4 square miles, and weighs up to 35,000 tons. The only visible part of this massive fungus are the golden mushrooms fruiting bodies that sprout above ground in the fall. The real organism, the vast majority of the fungus, lives invisibly underground as mycelium, which is that white stuff. If you ever grew mushrooms before in your life, I don't need to know what kind, but I've gone through the whole process myself multiple times. It's a very amazing, fun thing to do. A web of microscopic thread-like roots called hyphae. Age and scale, it's about 8,650 years old, and it is what transports nutrients throughout the entire forest. It is the brain, it is the network, it is the nervous system, it is the everything. The nervous system meaning is also is a good indicator of the health of the forest. And without that, you get desert. When there's no mycelium, desert. I don't know if desert can be something that can be reclaimed. I don't know. I'd be very surprised if you could, because once everything's depleted and what you have is freaking silica, I'm not sure without just removing a huge top layer of it and adding real soil and whatever. I don't see how you could reclaim. Once desert happens, I think that's the end. To be quite honest, unless you have a period where something floods and remains flooded, maybe the sediment and the things that are collected from the water and they reach the bottom would be able to change that environment and make it better. But like the Sahara Desert used to be a lake. When it goes the opposite direction, you get desert again. Scientists estimate this humongous fungus among us, is between 2,400 and how do you go from that range? Scientists, right? Scientists said, oh, it's either 3 or 95 when they looked at a kid. Like this is the level of their intellect. It's either 2,400 years old or 8,650 years old. You know, somewhere in between there. And it covers an area equivalent to roughly 1,600 football fields. Possibly the largest living organism on Earth. The Armillaria osteae. So this is another, they're talking about the oyster mushroom here. The mycelium invades a sapwood trees, which we're talking about in most areas in North America. Yep. So those aren't really oyster mushrooms. Even though it says osteae, oyster mushrooms are the ones that could like grow on the sides of trees and stuff like that, and they look more like ripply, like your cartoon clams would look. Which mushroom has none? They don't. Largest living thing on Earth is a 3.5 square mile. Yeah, it's all going back to the same thing. So that's what flowers, when they say flowering and they talk about mushrooms, that's what they're referring to. The thing that blows out spores so they can make new ones. What the hell is that? That's got to be a joke. The largest organism is right here in Oregon. Yeah, that thing has got to be a joke because that looks like the Italian mushroom. What they call that? I have these, or I used to buy them dried. I couldn't find. Not S. Get rid of the S. I've been asking about that. The porcini, yeah, that looks more like a porcini that they're showing in the picture. They're big, but they're like big, like they're kind of like a what's the other one? No, I can't even think of that one. The brown one that you find at the grocery store. Why don't they even show that here? That's funny. It starts with another P. Why am I not thinking correctly right now? At least it has an Italian name. The Crimini or Portobello. Yeah, there you go, Portobello. I don't know why that. I used to make Portobello burgers. You just cook it, and it put a lot of salt and garlic in it, and man, it tastes so good. You don't need any meat. Of course, you do need meat, but sometimes it's fun to have a variety of things. Or you put that huge ass mushroom on a burger. It's even better. Or a chicken sandwich. Anyhow, is everybody good? We good? Anybody have anything else to say before I go? Go get your 90 essential nutrients. It's really important for your health. Go over there and hit that up and give it a follow. Somokoma said, thanks, Dan and Dr. Glidden. Thank you, Somokoma. And Karen said, thank you again, Dr. Glidden and Daniel. Wish me luck. Family invasion has begun. Maybe you'll see some more Having a drone where you live, Karen, is probably like a really great idea because pointing that over I think it's the Puget Sound that you're up against, right? If you're seeing whales in the quantity that I've seen you show me pictures of lately, that would make for some pretty fun photography or video recording if you had a drone. Just don't get one of those 8-minute ones and go 5 minutes out and can't get it back, so it falls into the freaking water. These things are so ridiculous. The battery life on those damn things. It's like here's it's only $800. Yeah, it flies for like 10 minutes. Then has to be recharged. Well, that's 10 minutes of fun. Yeah. What the heck? All right, guys, have a wonderful day. And make sure, see that thing right there? You become a member. And you can use either BAALBUSTERS when you become a member, or you can use FITWIT. And now I'm excited because now I can start putting that code on the other channel. And we're going to build that mofo. It's going to be awesome. Everybody's going to learn that they need minerals. And everybody's going to have better results when they're lifting weights, overall fitness, health, well-being. Their vital force is going to be thanking them for getting the minerals. It's going to be great. I'm very excited. I like to help. If I know something that's going to be useful, I like to share it. I don't like to covet it. And I don't like to put it behind only $19.95. I don't do that. Later, guys. Have a wonderful day.